My most anticipated film of the entire festival for Sundance 2022 was After Yang, since the director Kogonada was going to be directing this. If you haven't seen his previous film, Columbus, I highly recommend that, but man oh man is After Yang a phenomenal directorial effort that I loved. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new Sundance review. You know how it is. These are a little bit more laid back, more fun for the most part, but it's just me giving you guys my straight review right after watching the movie, since we are at home. Sundance is virtual this year, and it's going to be a great discussion. So if you guys are also new here, or in general have already seen some of the Sundance movies, I'm going to be reviewing as much as possible, as well as having a vlog at the end of the festival. So do look forward to that. If you're looking forward and just want to keep talking movies, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as leave your comment on what some of your favorites of Sundance were, and in general, what your guys' thoughts were on After Yang. You excited for it? Did you watch it? Let's talk about it. After Yang takes place in the near future, where a family reckons with questions of love, connection, loss after their AI helper unexpectedly breaks down. Now, this is a movie that, again, was my most anticipated of the entire festival. It's an A24 venture, and the director and writer of this directed Columbus, which I hail as probably one of the most underrated movies ever created. And I continue to say that because I think After Yang will probably fall sadly in that same vein, but I am happy that After Yang is at least coming out and very much produced by A24, which will hopefully get some more eyes on this one, because I loved this movie. It exceeded my expectations for what I thought it was going to be, and was a poignant piece on not just the mourning of a loved one, but our connection with technology and the connection that we share with one another. The profoundness of this film really much relaxes in its meditation that Kogonada is able to direct with inside of here. Just like Columbus, the performances that he's able to get out of each and every one of our stars is probably one of the best aspects of this film. Colin Farrell is absolutely incredible. I mean, the guy just continues to get better and better with each and every year. And you have Jodie Turner-Smith, who is absolutely incredible in Queen and Slim, and also amazing in this. You have Lu Richardson, who's fantastic as Ada, Clifton Collins Jr. Truly enough, the big two standouts of this was Justin Min and Mela Emma, who play Yang and Mika. Now, Yang is the AI helper who passes away, sadly, in here, breaks down, and there's no way of possibly bringing him back, which this affects Mika because that was her best friend, in a sense, the person who in a sense raises her, as Colin Farrell plays the father who maybe needs to reconnect with his family, as he's kind of just been on autopilot the last couple of years. Now, like I mentioned, there was 4 big things that happened in this movie, and 4 big elements of the film that I came away with just such a gravitas to. And the first thing is our relationship with one another, the profound nature, the poetry of it that Kogonada is able to direct and write inside of here. It is one of the big elements that I'm really much personally involved in. You know, I think one of the big profound pieces when it comes down to indie movies, or just in films in general, the 2 biggest things for me is life and the meaning of life, but also the connection with others around us. I'm always fascinated when films can dive into those. A Sundance venture a couple years back, 9 Days, was one of my favorite films of that year because of the way that it really gave this profound piece on what is the meaning of life. And I don't think After Yang definitely dives into what the meaning of life is, but it dives into the connections around us, and it is very much an allegory for how our life and how our world is going in right now, but also in the way that we reflect with one another. And that relationship with one another that we have, whether it's through social media or through actually in-person conversations, is so important, and I think this movie dives into those. The second thing that I think is so important about this film is the way that it handles the mourning of a loved one, and the way that it can affect us. Even though Yang was this AI helper, there's more to it than just the artificial intelligence there. Yang was developing more to it, and I'm not going to get into spoilers, but there's more behind the scenes of what Yang was going about and what he was feeling, but as well as the connection, the attachment that we have to that. And that can be profoundly spoken on because of how very much we are attached to our social media devices or our phones, or needing everything around us to help us live. And I feel like for me, when we look at certain elements like that, it is something that I don't think we see enough now in film, but it's something that's completely taking our world by storm. But even though maybe if we're lost on something and we lose our, I don't know, our phone, and we can't figure out how to get somewhere, or just for the sense we lose our login for a certain social media and we need to figure out what that next news is, we feel tragically lost. Our film's protagonist feels this way after the AI helper disappears, but at the same time, the whole family's mourning it because it's a loved person in their lives that they were pretty much connecting with more than one another. Now that leads me to the third thing about it, and what is so important with this film is again that relationship that we have with technology and how that can cause a disconnect between everyone around us, our friends, our family, maybe even some of the animals in our lives like dogs, cats. We spend so much time focused in than what's out. And again, after Yang explores that with this AI helper, and there's so many allegories that you can really much speak on about it all. The center of it all, I feel like what this movie actually touches on as well, especially within Yang's profound like evolution, is what it means to be human and to have those meaningful connections. And that is where this film struck me in the heart, ripped it right out, and it absolutely put tears into my eyes. And for me, the way that it's able to handle that, and there's this whole profound nature that, I know I keep saying the word profound, but it very much is the easiest way to describe After Yang. But there's this whole thing of when Yang breaks down, Colin Farrell's character is able to look back into his memories in a very unique and awe-inspiring way. And on a technical achievement, I loved how they were able to use aspect ratios in here and really much differentiate what is going on from a memory to real world. And the cinematography all adding in there is astounding. Like, it is absolutely exciting to say the less. But in these moments when he's going through the memories of Yang and seeing certain elements memories that he never even knew Yang had, but also memories of his family and certain special moments inside there. Those meaningful connections are so important. And I feel like we do that randomly where maybe we're driving past an old house or driving down a street that we haven't been to before, and it kind of just reminds us of a connection that we used to have with someone or something, or just something in our family where you're like, I kind of wish I could go back to that maybe. Oh, for sure, me, there are loved ones that I've lost that I just kind of wish that I could go back and live in that moment with them, just to spend that moment in time. Where I've kind of come down more into my life where if I'm in the moment with friends or family, even if it's something so small, to just take in the little things. And I feel like that's what After Yang very much reminds us about. After Yang reminded me of what it means to be human, why being human is so important, why having these connections are so profoundly amazing, and why I'm just such an emotional wreck, because it just brought back all these memories of people who I've lost in my lives from death and the connections that I wish I could have had with them, and why technology is, while a great aspect to expanding our lives, can also hinder us in so many different ways. After Yang is a fucking profound and amazing movie that absolutely needs to be seen by everyone. It is hands down, I know I've only seen like a couple films from Sundance, but it is my favorite film that I've seen this year. And if I'm comparing it to the last 2 years that I've been to Sundance, this is easily top 5 best films that I've ever seen at Sundance. I wholeheartedly very much say that you should put this on your radar. I think it's getting a release in the spring of this year. It is one of A24's, again, smartest films, and I'm so happy that this director is finally being able to speak his voice once again. And if you need another profound film, absolutely see Columbus. This guy knows what he has. So with all that said, I'm going to give After Yang an A. I'm this close to giving it an A+, guys. Like, this close. I found the film to be maybe a tad bit too long, but other than that, I was very much satisfied. It hit my expectations, maybe even exceeded them tiny bit. But I love this movie, and I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on it. So thank you once again for watching this. You guys are seriously all the best. Hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below, and look forward to more Sundance coverage coming soon. As well, if you want to see movies early, head on over to Sandwich on Films down there as well. But of course, until next time, stay classy.